Hey friends, imagine a country in conflict, not just with its neighbors, but with itself. A government that can't agree on whether starving civilians is acceptable policy, and a far-right minister calling his own prime minister morally bankrupt for letting in baby food and bottled water. That's exactly what's happening in Israel right now. This isn't just about Gaza. It's about a deeper, disturbing fracture inside one of the world's most militarized democracies, and the terrifying global consequences if it keeps escalating. If this kind of deep dive into the real forces shaping our world interests you, subscribe to Mr. America for more stories the mainstream often glosses over. Now let's break this down. On July 26th, Israeli Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, head of the ultra-nationalist Otzma Yehudit party, publicly blasted Prime Minister Netanyahu for one reason: allowing any humanitarian aid into Gaza. In his words, Netanyahu is morally bankrupt for feeding the enemy. He then added, "No food, no water, no fuel, only full siege and pressure." Let that sink in. This isn't a Hamas commander or a foreign adversary. This is a sitting cabinet member in charge of national security, openly demanding the starvation of over 2 million civilians, half of them children. Why does that matter? Because this marks the first time in modern Israeli history that such rhetoric is being normalized from within the government itself. Since October 7th, the humanitarian toll in Gaza has been staggering. Over 38,000 Palestinians killed, including 15,000 children. UNICEF says 9 out of 10 children in Gaza now suffer from severe food insecurity. The World Food Program calls it a textbook case of man-made famine. And yet, aid trucks trying to enter from Rafah or Kerem Shalom are regularly blocked, looted, or slowed down by far-right Israeli protesters, some of them affiliated with Ben-Gvir's supporters. Now ask yourself, when your own national security minister not only condones that, but demands it, where does that road lead? Comment below. Do you think this internal radicalism is now more dangerous than external threats? Now here's where the story gets even more uncomfortable, especially for America. Because while Ben-Gvir rages against Netanyahu for being too soft, the US has quietly continued shipping weapons to Israel, over $4 billion this year alone, much of it in emergency packages, even after top UN officials and international legal experts warned of potential genocide-level conditions in Gaza. The question is, how long can Washington pretend it's dealing with a unified, stable Israeli government when its own ministers can't even agree on whether to allow diapers across the border? Here on Mr. America, we dig into questions like this, not because they're easy, but because they're real. And if you've made it this far, maybe consider subscribing. It helps us keep the research deep and the analysis honest. Let's come back to the human level for a moment. Whether you support Israel, Palestine, or just want peace, there's one fact that transcends politics. No child should be punished for where they were born, but that's exactly what this siege is doing. Ben-Gvir and his allies want to frame this as a war against terror, but the reality on the ground is that it's turning into a war on life itself. And inside Israel, not everyone agrees. Thousands of Israelis, parents, reservists, former generals, have marched against the hardliners demanding a ceasefire and a return to sanity. Even Ehud Barak, former PM and IDF chief, warned that Netanyahu's government is fomenting extremism and destroying Israel's moral compass. This isn't just a political debate anymore, it's a battle for the soul of a country. Here's the global ripple. The longer Israel appears fractured and extreme, the harder it becomes for even its allies to justify support. Already, European governments are freezing arms exports. Latin American countries like Colombia have cut diplomatic ties. And BRICS nations, especially Russia and South Africa, are seizing the moment to argue the West has lost all moral credibility. Meanwhile, America, caught in the middle, sending weapons to a government where cabinet members fight over whether children should eat, while telling the world it supports human rights. There's a word for this kind of dilemma: unsustainable. So what does this all really mean? That we are approaching a moment of reckoning, not just for Israel, not just for Palestine, but for every democracy trying to hold itself together while extreme voices pull it apart. If we normalize the politics of starvation, of moral collapse, what do we become? And if someone like Ben-Gvir can rise in one of the world's most advanced democracies, who's next? Let me know in the comments. How do you think this ends? Is there still time to turn back, or have we already crossed the point of no return? Here on Mr. America, we'll keep asking the hard questions, even when the answers are painful. If this moved you, if it made you think, subscribe. It's one small way to fight back against the noise. And by the way, If you're interested in learning more about Middle East politics with a reliable, beginner-friendly read, check out the book, A History of the Modern Middle East. It's well written and balanced. Link is in the description. Until next time, stay curious and stay human.